Celtics look to fight back in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. They are scalding from long distance. What a hot start here for the Boston Celtics. Tatum throws it down. What a bounce-back game for Boston. Eastern Conference Finals all tied up at 1 apiece.
We know what it's going to take. We know they're coming. They're trying to come in our house, and they're trying to get a win, and we got to protect home court.
Welcome to Hoop Streams, presented by DoorDash. We are here for Eastern Conference Finals Game 3 in Boston, Massachusetts. It was beautiful outside today. There's a palpable energy all over. It was too hot for that outfit, Jaylen Brown. It is too hot to be wearing a fleece, Jaylen Brown. There is Marcus Smart, who had a great game, too, looking to build on that momentum for Game 3. And will we see Kyle Lowry take the parquet floor here at Oh, there's Monica McNutt, arriving in style with her DoorDash. Welcome to Hoop Streams, presented by DoorDash. I am David Jacoby, alongside Nick Friedell and Monica McNutt. We are moving from Miami to Boston, and we have some updated information. Last game, Game 2, the Celtics added Marcus Smart and Al Horford, made all the difference. However, Game 3, they will be without Robert Williams. The Time Lord will not be getting any time on the floor today. Nick, how does that affect what the Celtics are going to do tonight?
It's huge. He is that anchor down low, and guys, when he's out there, everybody has confidence that they have that defensive stalwart in the back wall. Without him, Monica, this team switches everything already, but down low, that is going to be something to watch, especially because the Heat need more from Bam Adebayo.
Yeah, and in the Time Lord's absence, Daniel Tice will get the start today, and he's not as agile, we'll say, as Robert Williams back there. But, you know, Ime Udoka, we asked him about it pregame, and he is confident in the rotation of his guys and the versatility of various players. So we'll see what happens.
Other side of the ball, the Miami Heat are looking to add a couple players that they have been missing. We all saw Tucker go down, and Kyle Lowry has been out the whole series. They are being a little coy about whether or not they'll be playing, and here we are just minutes from game time. But Monica, if they can bring those players back, what do they bring for the Heat?
Well, when you talk about Lowry, I think it is a mistake to talk about him just offensively. What he brings to this group offensively, or defensively, is just as important. And, you know, Coach Bo said to us that he will be an emotional boost no matter how many minutes he can play. If he does play, obviously he won't play a full traditional game load, but he is truly the guy that galvanizes and has these guys believing they can do the impossible. They've joked that he has Omar Yurtseven believing that he's a young Shaq.
I love Omar Yurtseven.
That's all you need to know right there.
I mean, he's that kind of guy. I want that kind of guy in my life.
But, Mon, this is the Heat's moment.
Yeah.
If you are playing Lowry and he's going to try to go with that hamstring injury, you got to win. And you've got to play up to the Celtics level on both ends. But you're right, defensively, that's where he can give you a boost. The question for me, Jacoby, is we've watched this series play out. When Jimmy has 41, everything looks good for Miami.
Right.
When he doesn't have that offensive help, where is the answer going to come from? And Lowry, as good as he can be defensively, even in those 2 games he did play in Philly, was never a guy you looked at on the offensive end and said, there's the answer. They've got to find it somewhere, but the emotional lift of having those 2 guys on the floor will be huge.
Absolutely, and I think one of the creators they need to create is Tyler Hero. Game 1 in the first half, he looked great, and he's truly one of the only creators that they have, and when he plays that second unit, he can really give them a spark. Hopefully he can play better than he did in Game 2.
Yeah, but I mean, the big part to that, though, was how the defenses shift from Game 1 to Game 2. Like Tyler Hero having to deal with switches made it a little bit tougher for him to get to those sweet spots right above the free throw line.
So we talked about Jimmy Butler, we've talked about who may or may not be playing, but we haven't talked about one of the biggest stars left in the playoffs, and that is Jason Tatum. Now, the Stats and Information Group can make a stat sound a certain way. However, this one is impressive. If he scores 5 points tonight, Jason Tatum will be the youngest player to ever reach 1,500 playoff career points, passing Kobe Bryant. He has been on fire outside of the third quarter of the first game.
No, 7 out of 8.
However, everybody has a bad 15 minutes. However, Jason Tatum, this team beat Kevin Durant's Nets. This team beat Giannis's Bucks. Those are 2 players that are in the conversation, if not the only 2 players in the conversation of who is the best player in basketball. Monica, my question for you is, can Jason Tatum this offseason play himself into that title?
Yeah.
Really?
Absolutely, I think so. Well, here's the thing. These things are conversations that are fluid. If he takes his team to a championship and is a Finals MVP, like he just took out your other two guys, Jacoby. What are we talking about?
I like that.
You know what I'm saying, like, if it is a results-driven conversation, it is a what have you done for me lately, that will be most recent history. How are you going to challenge it? Please tell me how.
I don't think he's ready for that spot yet, Mon, but this is the spot he is ready for 100%. Superstar.
Oh, yeah.
And before this postseason, I think he has to win to get to that point throughout the league. Everybody knew the talent was there. Everybody knew how good he was. When you go and beat KD in the first round and Giannis in the second round, and you play at the level he continues to play, when you win a title, then there's no question.
All right.
There's no debate anymore.
Here's what I will challenge you, my wise counsel of NBA consumers. At what point?
Say that again. I liked it.
Okay, wise counsel of NBA consumers. At what point do we start having a real conversation about the changing of the guard, which I think was a underlying current through these playoffs. But again, if it's a what have you done for me lately, I get it. But if we start digging into KD, there's now a camp that is arguing about what he has or has not done with his own team. You talk about Giannis. I mean, Giannis probably
what about
tough
the gentleman in
there.
Los Angeles, LeBron James? Did they make the playoffs? Did they play in the play-in?
Did he play in? Oh, how'd that go?
So when you talk about the changing of the guard, it is interesting during this playoffs. We've seen Luka, we've seen Ja, we see Jason Tatum make these sort of leaps, and we don't see KD and we don't see LeBron. So this league is sort of feels like it's in a transition phase.
Definitely.
Now, Monica and I had a bit of a problem for Game 2 when maybe I suggested that Derek White could have, I don't know, played in Game 2 instead of going to see the birth of his first child. We have an update on the situation.
Yes, please.
He missed the birth of his first child.
And he did not take a PJ because he missed the first flight, apparently.
So how do you miss the flight?
You can't miss the
the
flight.
security
You
line?
can't miss the
I don't
flight.
know. He missed the first flight, got on the second flight, arrived shortly thereafter. I mean, technically, they were going home the next day anyway if you were going to miss the big fireworks. I mean, like...
You can't miss that first.
Well, we saw him warm up. He will be playing today. He'll be
back.
in Game 3.
He's definitely back.
And congratulations to the White family on their new addition.
Shout out to Cass. We love you, Cass.
Yes.
We had differing opinions on this issue.
Well, you know, the Celtics are a family, and Derek White's family is growing. And it's a family affair here in Boston. And we all know Deuce Tatum,
Yes.
Jason Tatum's young child. And I'm sure you guys saw this video.
Cold world.
Oh, my
God.
Cold world.
Deuce.
What I love about this video is it's not even like Jason told him to do it. Like, he did it naturally.
So Grant explained this morning.
He did. You got inside information on this, too?
Okay, so Grant believes that Deuce needed to use the restroom and at first was going to hold it. But behind Grant, coach is coming in to give his speech, and Deuce realizes he cannot hold it. And thus he had to make the urgent move to leave.
That
was Grant's explanation.
Grant's explanation was that Deuce needed to use the restroom and was trying to hold it, and that's why he disrespected him.
Exactly. But he did suspect, since he suggested that he's the strongest guy on the team, that Deuce has been a little shady.
I'm doing everything I can not to make a Deuce pun joke, and I just can't hold it in. I cannot hold it in.
You don't want to
Pun
do that.
very much intended. Before I get us in trouble, we have to we'll get back to the Eastern Conference Finals Game 3, get you ready for that, but let's talk about last night. About last night, big game it was, Western Conference Game 2, and we all know about Luka Doncic. Look at the slow-mo Luka jogging onto the floor shot. Everything was going great for the Mavs. Luka's hitting threes. Everyone's hitting threes. They're cruising to a victory. They're going to even the series on the road. Everything was going great for the Dallas Mavericks up until it wasn't, and that was the third quarter. Third quarter Warriors, as they always have, come out and dominated. Klay Thompson, and it was Curry, and it was Poole, and they got the lead, they held the lead, they kept the lead, and they won Game 2. It is now 2-0 in that series, and he put him to sleep. He said night-night before the ball even went through.
I love Ja chiming in on Twitter.
Yep. So, we saw what happened in the previous series with the Mavs. They went down 0-2 on the road. They came home. The role players played better, and they got the next two games. Nick, what adjustments do the Mavs need to make in Game 3?
They have got to play better defensively. You cannot give up that type of lead when you build it up in the first half and feel so good going into halftime. Jason Kidd knows that when his team is hitting shots, they're going to be a little more active on the defensive end. The key is, Monica, when you're not, how do you maintain the intensity that they're going to need? This Warriors team does not quit. They don't look at the scoreboard and go, oh, it's over, like other teams we know, Phoenix. And they know that they have the firepower to do it. Dallas has to be ready mentally.
I think the sound that we got coming out of that game where they basically were like, at halftime, Kerr said, if they beat us like this, then we got to just shake their hands because they were blistering from three. But of course, things leveled out and the Warriors defense stepped up. Going into the series, y'all, I kept trying to really think about what the Mavs could do, like where they had an advantage. I do think it is their size, right? And their ability, like Reggie Bullock and Dorian Finney-Smith, their ability to defend. But they got to come up with something to deal with the Warriors' movement in that half court. Like Clay and Steph are just getting free looks.
They're two different styles. Like if you watch the Mavs offense, it's basically Luka with the ball saying, someone set me a pick, and we're all going to work off of that. The Warriors are just moving all over the place. And you mentioned the Mavs' size. They do have a lot of size at the wing position. However, they did have a lot of trouble with Kevon Looney last night. Looney had himself a game. This man has not scored 20 points since his freshman year at UCLA. Last night had a career-high 22 points for Kevon Looney. He was getting, people were giving him buckets. He was making his own buckets. Nick, what a difference is it to have Looney producing like this?
It's gigantic. And Jacoby, I can tell you, having been around that Warriors team the last few years, there is nobody internally more beloved. Steph is Steph, Draymond is Draymond, and everybody was so happy for Clay. Kevon Looney comes in every day, does the work, and Steve Kerr, when he talks about him, it sounds like he's talking about his son. Like, come on, you're the man. We love you. Just stay healthy. He has, and he has been that anchor they've needed all along, and he's been so, so good for them. I know how happy so many people are right now out in the Bay for him.
I mean, he neutralizes sort of the size argument, that's for sure, because he's been able to stay on the floor and defend. And I didn't realize how stagnant the Mavs offense was until this series, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, hey, give the ball to Luka and just watch him operate.
There was a small window yesterday where you saw them looking to take advantage of transition. Jalen Brunson got out a little bit, Spencer Dinwiddie got out. But other than that, it's a whole lot of Luka, and he's great. And Luka might have his numbers in this series, but he can't outscore the Warriors alone.
What did you call the fans earlier? NBA consumers?
No, you guys are my wise counsel of
wise
NBA
counsel of NBA consumers. One thing, as the wise counsel of NBA consumers, one thing I want to bring up about this series in particular that no one talks about is the Warriors are missing their number 2 pick, James Wiseman, and the Mavs are missing Tim Hardaway Jr., who's another creator for them. Like, no one discusses this. You know, when we talk about the Bucks and them missing Middleton, it's all anyone says. But each one of these teams in the Western Conference Finals is missing a key piece of what they're supposed to be doing.
Well, you got to look at when those guys went out, though, too. Like, Middleton went out in the previous series. That's a big deal, a big-time adjustment on the fly. I was at the game, I think, when Tim Hardaway went out. That was tough. I want to say that was like January-ish, earlier in the season. And I'm not sure what's up with Wiseman. I can't wait to see him as an NBA player consistently because I'm just not sold, if I'm honest.
The seats are starting to fill here in TD Garden. The end of Metallica's rocking. It is starting to feel like something. And then here we have Jaylen Brown getting ready for the game. He's been up and down in these playoffs and this series, to be honest with you. They're looking for a big Game 3 out of him. Now, we all are ordering our DoorDash, getting together the go-out order for Game 3 in the Eastern Conference Finals. Monica, look at you arriving in style with your DoorDash. I didn't get any of that. I don't remember you offering me a wing. I don't remember you offering me a slider. I don't remember anything.
It's not as important as
I'm flats only. I'm flats only. Flats only. No drumsticks. Flats only.
Share with you because who
flats only.
Chicken wings are chicken wings.
So we all know about the greatest order of all time that you order through DoorDash. But let's talk about the greatest dunks of all time. It is now time for the greatest of all time presented by DoorDash. It was not that long ago, but there is no forgetting this moment in Memphis. John Morant with the ball. Malik Beasley, don't do it!
Oh, my God.
Oh, what a dunk that was. Now, in this moment, people have a recency bias. We all work in the media. There was a question of, was this the greatest playoff dunk of all time? My hard answer, immediate answer, was absolutely not no. And we're going to now show you why that is.
All right, let's
we're going to go through some of the greatest playoff dunks of all time. Nick, this is Kobe.
Oh, my goodness.
That's the other side of the basket.
Oh, my, through two?
That was a dunk contest come to real life.
Absolutely.
That was
2003 against the Timberwolves, and this one no one will ever forget. Baron Davis. in the Bay. AK-47.
All the people in that Warriors organization all say the same thing. In that moment, that was the loudest they ever heard Oracle.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
He just decided to take his shirt off for some reason afterwards. He was so excited.
What do you do?
I know. This is after they beat the Mavs and they lost that series. And this one, see, I'm old. I remember this one. Sean Kemp, the cuff, the dunk, and the point. The point. The point is the point. Monica, what do you think about the point?
This is amazing. And I feel like big dudes never get the credit they deserve for dunking. This is insane. Are you kidding me?
Well, big dudes are too busy getting dunked on, and you're about to see Patrick Ewing get dunked on a couple times in this one.
I'm not watching this.
This is
Disrespect.
Get it to
And the
him.
walkover, too.
Oh, God.
The walkover makes the whole
Patrick
thing.
Ewing.
How does that feel?
The pushover and the slap and the
Big
walkover.
Pat, I love you. I didn't know this was in the show. I'm sorry.
We're not done. We all know what's going to happen now. Is Jordan's going to pull it back out, right?
Oh,
No.
man.
So just watch this again. 4 defenders for the New York Knicks just absolutely got bodied in this clip.
This explains a lot. This explains the state of
I
Georgetown
feel like you're going
basketball
through
right
it.
now.
Do you need to go to therapy after this?
I do need to go
Are
to
you
therapy.
okay?
Like, what's happening right now? This is so sad.
Woo. And then, again, the lob. We all know what this did.
We're talking about Dallas's meltdown. How about Portland's meltdown at the end of this game?
Oh, yeah. Well, this one was huge because it sent them to the finals. This is under a minute left. That was the sealing basket for those Lakers. So,
those Lakers squad, man.
we all know about the go-o, the greatest order of all time. Looking at all of those dunks, you first, Nick, you second, Monica. Which one is you think the best playoff dunk of all time?
Scotty on Big Pat.
Yeah.
That one lives.
Oh, Monica gave you the face.
Yeah, but
Monica gave you the face.
Come on. In Chicago, that dunk with the walkover just set the whole tone. That was nasty.
Oh, here it is again. Monica, here it is again. Look away. Look away.
Oh, my God. Avert your eyes.
Oh, God. The step over.
Dang, man.
Oh, no.
I have to do Big Pat like that.
Monica, which is your greatest playoff dunk of all time?
I think I'm going to go with Baron Davis. I think I got to go Baron Davis. Yeah.
There's something about the size difference.
Yeah.
There's something about the size difference. You know what would have really helped that one, though? If they won the series.
Okay, but you didn't have to go that, Jacoby. Why you got to be like that?
But I love the shirt rip-off. Like, he doesn't even know what to do with himself. He's like, let me just ditch row. Let me take my shirt off. I don't know what to do. God, I love Baron Davis. Peak Baron Davis, one of my favorite basketball players of all time. Well, we have Rob Williams, who will not be playing tonight. We'll talk about how that's going to impact the Celtics and what they want to do. But first, let's listen to how Rob Williams impacted Game 2, because he was mic'd up.
Shout out to my daughter. Shout out to my son. Mama, we here. Great to have you back, baby. Hey, Smart. Keep going. Keep it rolling. Keep it rolling. Keep it rolling, man. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. I'll let him get there for me. Be good. Yes, sir. Hey, good stuff. Way to put your head down and play. Way to put your head down and play. Way to keep playing. Way to keep playing. We took that run. Baby. Come on. We took that run. He's trying to force it, Greg. He's trying to force it. He want to score. Watch we get something good out of this. Greg, you screen him. And what? Don't play with us, Smart. That's you, JT. Get something good. 5 minutes left. A lot of game. One more quarter, baby. Put together one more quarter. Come on, y'all.
The stage may change, but the stakes have not.
We just gotta come out with urgency. It's a choice that we have to make.
Run it up, Boston. Run it up, the Celtics. It's gonna be a riot, that means quiet. I got the can of gas, I'm about to ignite. I am driven, I won't ever get tired, cause I've been left behind, I have to get right.
They are scalding. They are putting the beat down on the Heat right now.
I was proud of the way that we responded.
Regardless the result, the response is what matters.
It has to hurt. They did embarrass us. We got to realize that. Use it as fuel.
This time, I'm on the grind. Oh, I'm shining. Nothing can stop me.
Doing it all for the Heat here and for Butler brilliance in the postseason.
Run it up.
Own it, accept it, execute it.
I want to run into people and see who's going to quit first.
We know they coming, and we know what it takes.
Nothing can stop me.
It's time for the main attraction. We are just minutes away from Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals right here on the parquet floor of the TD Garden. It was beautiful out today. All of Boston was outside. It's got an energy in the building right now. Nick, what adjustments do the Heat need to make to steal Game 3 here in Boston?
They have got to get the offense going early, Jacoby. What it reminds me of a Game 6 in Philly, Monica.
Yeah.
You had to get something from somebody else. In that game, it was Max Strus. Tyler Hero got going. They need somebody to help Jimmy set that tone in the first quarter. You know what Jimmy can do at the end of games. If they get in too big of a hole with the way Boston plays defense, even without Robert Williams, I don't know if they'll be able to recover in time tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you're spot on, Nick, but I also think in addition to that is their defense has to show up. Their defense didn't leave the locker room in the first quarter of Game 2 because that is so much of how Jimmy and the supporting cast get going. I mean, I marveled at the stats in terms of Jimmy's efficiency and not missing a shot that started off of a turnover in Game 1 and how efficient they were there. But on the flip side, we see what happens when the Celtics don't turn the ball over and how that stifles the Heat defense. So I'm looking for the Heat, a very prideful organization, to take some pride in their defense early in this ball game.
You make a great point. Like, you know what you're going to get from Jimmy.
Yep.
And I'm going to say what everyone in Miami is thinking. Where's Bam Adebayo been? Isn't Bam Adebayo supposed to be like the second of our two-headed monster here? Isn't Bam Adebayo supposed to be this two-way player? Isn't Bam Adebayo supposed to be the sort of Draymond Green hub of the wheel on offense? Why hasn't Bam been successful, and what needs to change, Nick?
He needs to be more assertive, Jacoby. I think with the way he's being played by Robert Williams in those first couple games, and then Grant Williams when he came on the floor, he's got to find an answer. So when you are a max player, as Bam is, these are the moments in time where you show up, and you have to be that difference maker. And Mon, when you look at what Bam has to do, I think the Heat are also banking on the emotional lift that Kyle Lowry provides just being out there. So the hope is that by Lowry being out there, maybe it takes some pressure off Bam, allows him to get going.
No doubt that Kyle's presence is going to be huge tonight. But Jacoby, I got to challenge you a little bit.
Okay.
In talking to Spo, we've asked him about Bam's role, right? And you made an interesting comparison to Draymond Light in terms of his defensive versatility. Does Draymond score a bunch of points?
No. But I don't watch a Warriors game and say, you know what, Draymond didn't really contribute. I never do that, and I do that in this series with Bam.
So I asked Bo about this, and he pointed out that a good game for Bam might not necessarily equate to the scoring column, but it is Bam having opportunities to push the ball in transition. Bam operating from that low block to that high shoulder area where he can get going in the mid-post, setting good screens, diving hard. So there's a lot of intangibles that the Heat believe, I shouldn't say intangibles, but there are a lot of things that don't show up in a box score that the Heat need from Bam in order for him to have a good game in terms of what this team needs from him. And of course, the defensive versatility. I mean, he anchors their defense flat out, so he has to be a big presence there.
So you mentioned Nick when he was, we're in the presence of greatness. Deuce is right next to us, y'all. I'm nervous. Deuce is next to us, y'all. Oh my God. We are always surrounded by superstars when we're courtside, but Deuce makes me nervous. He is a young king right there. Oh, look at him warm up. Oh, Deuce. Okay, you mentioned that Bam, maybe some of the struggles had to do with Robert Williams' athleticism and size and versatility. He is not available tonight. Do you think that could unlock Bam tonight?
He has got to. Bam does get the ball and roll.
Yeah.
When you don't have Robert Williams, that tone has to be set early on. And Monica, to your point, the Heat believe that Bam can do it. The Heat believe that Bam has the ability to take over the game down low when he needs to. He just has to show it, and if he does, I think he can really provide what the Heat have been searching for on the offensive end.
So it seems like for years the Celtics have been searching for a point guard. And when you look at the history, the recent history of this position in this building, it's been quite a journey. Now we all remember the Kyrie Irving days, the Kemba Walker days, we had the Dennis Schroeder days,
short-lived,
and all the while, Isaiah Thomas, all the while during that time was Marcus Smart. He was there the entire time. And what have they done? They have given the keys to the car to Marcus Smart, and he has, to continue this terrible metaphor, just driven it into the sunset.
It's a classic metaphor. It's not terrible.
And let's listen to what Marcus Smart said in Game 2.
My whole life, I got to fight.
You ain't got no choice but to be tough, and that's just how it was. I'm blessed to be in a situation with him, to have the opportunity to go out and show what I can do.
Can't underestimate the impact of your starting point guard, longest tenured Celtic.
A lot of pride. That's what I've been doing my whole career. You know, that's what I got drafted here to do, and you know, I just waited my turn.
Out to Smart the runner. Count it and the foul.
And when it's your night, sometimes it is just your night.
Being the energy guy, being the point guard that I am, I'll take a lot of pressure off our guys so they, you know, they could be who they are. We just wanted to come in and be the harder playing team tonight, and I think we did that.
There he is, Marcus Smart warming up. What a game two Marcus Smart had. I mean, he really just controlled everything. You see what he's doing this postseason. And those assists, the 6.7 assists, doesn't really truly tell the story of how he controls this offense and runs this show.
Jacoby, it feels like when the older brother shows up and everybody else looks at him like, okay, now we have our guy back. Our protection is there, and they know that when Smart is on the floor, he is going to take every challenge on both ends for him to continue to knock down the shots that he hit on top of the defense that he's providing, especially the switches on Jimmy. The Heat have some issues when Smart's out there.
Oh, you got stats?
Let's go.
Wait, can I just say one thing, Monica? What? You have given us so much great information.
Oh, okay.
You're like, I talked to Spo earlier, and now you've got stats.
Listen,
you really deliver.
Shout out to the team in the SIG channel. Here we go.
Shout out to the South Sports and Information Group.
Marcus Smart is the first Celtic player with 20 points, 10 assists, and 3 steals in a playoff game since, guess who? It was in 2012.
In 2012? The truth. I don't think he was on the team.
He was point guard for this team. Double R.
Rondo.
Oh, Rondo.
All right, one more. Okay, this one's good too. It was Marcus Smart's 9th career playoff game with 5+ threes. Who has more in franchise history in a single game?
Legends.
Yeah.
The legends.
You know who it is.
Yeah, and they didn't even shoot threes back then either. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yay for trivia. Impromptu trivia on Marcus Smart.
Okay, Nick, I'm glad you brought up the threes.
Okay.
The Celtics have 3 times hit over 20 threes. That ties most all time for any franchise. How have they been able to hit this many threes?
The scariest part for Miami is that they came into the series as this really strong defensive team, but what we saw, especially in Game 2, guys, there were only so many places the Heat defenders could go. The Celtics ball movement is really, really good, especially with Smart back, and they've got guys who are confident hitting from all over the place. The lineup we saw was Robert Williams and a bunch of shooters around him. That's going to change a little bit now if Tice and then Grant Williams comes back on the floor, but this is a roster up and down that can hit from the outside, and they have enough confidence in each other to make the extra pass to make it happen.
This was one of the things I was watching coming into this series. All 4 teams that are left were the best in terms of 3-point defense over the course of the regular season. I think they all clock in at under 34%, and there's point differences there. The Heat give up the most, though, but they also contest at the highest rate, upwards of 85%. And so could the Celtics make what might have been a bad 3 for another organization look like a good 3 for them and make them pay? And that's what we saw in Game 2.
And I really think the difference between 1 and 2, and this is obvious, Marcus Smart and Al Horford, guess what? Having 40% of your starting 5 out has an impact on the game. And when they come back, you look at this Celtics starting lineup, even without Robert Williams, there's no one to pick on. There's no one to hunt. They're all so solid defensively, and you have to respect all of their shooting offensively. It makes it very tough for them. But Nick, here's my question for you. Can Jimmy Butler single-handedly drag this Miami Heat team to a win tonight in Boston?
He can. I don't think he will tonight. I think with the atmosphere in here, and we all walked around Boston all day long, this is going to be a very extra spirited crowd.
Spirited. Spirit. There we go. Spirits might have something to do with it.
That's why they pay me the big bucks, baby. An extra spirited crowd in Boston. But truly, Jimmy can do it, but Jimmy's going to need help in this kind of environment. Even somebody who can go off for 40 is going to need a boost from somewhere else. I don't know if they're ready to provide it tonight. And Jacoby, this goes off the point you were just making. The Celtics can switch everything.
Absolutely.
There is an answer for them defensively in every spot. So even if they load up Jimmy and they force somebody else to beat them, somebody's going to have to do it over and over again to get the win.
Monica, that man behind you, warming up, Jason Tatum.
Matrix.
Does a trip to the finals elevate him to one of the best in the league?
A trip or securing the bag?
Securing the bag. Securing the Larry O'Brien trophy.
One of the best or the best?
One of the best.
Yes, one of the best. How could it not? Jacoby, come on, y'all. How could it not?
It is Game 3, Eastern Conference Finals. Thanks for watching Hoop Streams presented by DoorDash. Even though Monica got the DoorDash bag, she did not share any with me or Nick, and we will never forget that.
I love you guys.
We'll see you right before Game 4. You're watching Hoop Streams presented by DoorDash.